I do not believe in things that take away power from me. I only believe in things that make me more powerful as an individual. Feeling depressed is real, but being a depressive or having depression is something else. I accept that if I do feel depressed or I do feel sad or I do feel negative, which is actually very rare for me, but if it does ever happen, I understand I'm human and it's an emotion I'm going through and it will pass. People who have depression believe that they have a disease that can't be fixed and can't be cured. You are handing your power away. You're giving your power to an outside source and you're saying that I have no control over this. You need to at least believe you have some degree of control. It's not a disease that you caught from the sky. You can fix it by taking control of your own mind. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain. You're sad no matter what. And there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed. Yeah. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I talk to people all the time like, oh, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed. And I'm like, stop saying it. You're saying it. You're happy, my friend, because you're talking. If you're truly unhappy, you don't talk. Think of the last time you lost a family member. The first thing you did is you sat in silence for half an hour. That's unhappy. If you're running your mouth down the pub about being unhappy, you're attention seeking. That's what you're doing. I absolutely refuse to take my own power away. There are so many things in the world trying to kill us. Like, you got enemies. You got people on the streets with blades. You got bacterias. Oh, I've got enough enemies, bruv. Sharks want me dead. I've got enough enemies. Why am I going to take my own power away? Why would I not adopt the mindset that makes me the most capable predator I can possibly be? Why not adopt the mindset that makes me as competent and as fearsome as possible? So why would I believe in something that made me incapable? I don't believe in depression because even the belief in and of itself, when you feel depressed, you'll start to consider, maybe I have depression. Then you go see a psychiatrist and they want you on pills. It's the belief that goes down the spiral. If I feel sad, I go, I'm depressed today. I'll be fine tomorrow. A lot of people say to me, I can't get a girlfriend because I'm depressed. I say, no, you're depressed because you can't get a girlfriend. They're different things. A lot of people are pretending depression is why their life is shit, when in reality, their life is shit, which is why they're depressed. This idea that we propagate that it's a disease you catch and there's nothing you can do about it and it strikes out of nowhere. I don't believe that. I believe that the number one cure for depression for 99% of people on the earth is $10 million. You find me someone depressed in the fucking ghetto in Glasgow and let's give him a ton of money and watch his face light up. You haven't got a disease. You're unhappy with your surroundings. If you live a depressive life, you're going to feel depressed. If you lived my life, you wouldn't feel depressed. So now you know what you can do. Now you're either going to get up and do it, or you're going to sit there and stay depressed. Life teaches you a lot, and I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. You can read a book, and that's great, but I think if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today, and what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened, and how can I prevent them from happening again? Every day, I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? Like, how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything. You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. They're lying about me and they're talking shit, but I own it and I took responsibility for it and I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. I get this all the time. People say, oh, my girl left me. Why? I don't know. She just left. What do you mean you don't fucking know? Oh, because she wanted If you think long enough, you'll realize it's because of you. You can sit and say what she did and what she wanted, blah, blah. It's because you couldn't keep her. So it's your fault and you're not self-reflecting. And then you're going to go into your next relationship. And because you didn't self-reflect and you haven't grown, you haven't done anything, guess what's going to happen? She's going to leave you again. If you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. When you tell the world that depression can't be solved, what you're doing is absolving yourself from all responsibility. I no longer have to stand up and work hard and try and be something because it doesn't matter how hard I work because I'll be depressed anyway. They're being ignorant on purpose to avoid doing the hard work. That's all it really is. As a man, you're born with no inherent value. You have to become important. You have to go through some pain or go through some suffering to make people care about you. Otherwise, you're not going to matter. And one of the great things about the masculine journey and masculinity is that we've all lived a semi-similar story. We've all been the teenager, gets heartbroken. We've all been unimportant. We've all worked hard and then started to get some clout. And then we've all kind of lived the same kind of journey. So if you're just going to stay somewhere near the bottom and then at the age of 44, email me saying I'm depressed, well, of course you're depressed. fucking loser. Because you have to build yourself as a man. And if you decide not to build yourself, then your life's going to suck. That's the thing about being a man. And that's what I was saying to the kids. It's like, look, you need to get up and it's going to be very, very difficult. The world's getting harder and harder, especially for men. It's all clout, it's all status. There's no way you're going to matter unless you get up and you work extremely hard. It's hyper competitive out here. All the women want a few men at the top. You're not going to be able to compete with the person who performs regardless of how they feel if you only compete when you feel like competing. Smart work or intelligent work is something that most people use to hide and disguise their laziness. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're not a lazy individual, the first thing you do is you dedicate your entire life to work. Like I just said, every car I drive is work. I'll film it. I'll use it. Every single thing I do inside of my existence is work. Once I've used all of my human time and I now have a pile of work I can no longer complete, then I look to streamline. But until all of your time is used, smart and efficient is a disguise for laziness. It's bollocks. Life as a man is incredibly tough, both a blessing and a burden. The reality is men are born without inherent value. Society does not care about you unless you make yourself valuable. The beauty of this is that you have the power to shape yourself into something extraordinary, but that only happens if you're willing to put in the relentless effort, to push forward no matter what. Many people fail to realize just how brutal and competitive life is for men. We are constantly measuring ourselves against each other, always in competition. And as a man, it is your responsibility to rise above, to be strong, disciplined, and principled. The real danger lies in men who let their emotions dictate their actions. Men who are overly emotional become reckless, unstable, and even dangerous. The irony is that the same people who condemn traditional masculinity fail to see that true masculinity is about control, discipline, and responsibility. But today's society is teaching young men that they have no duty, that they should act purely on their emotions with no sense of responsibility. And when men lose control over themselves, chaos follows. We see destruction, violence, and instability. A man who cannot control his emotions is a danger to everyone around him. The constant push to make men more emotional, more reactive, more unrestrained is exactly why we see so much disorder in the world today, because they don't control their emotions. Their emotions control them. You wake up angry, you lash out. You feel sad, you hide. You get hurt, you quit. You're just a puppet, a slave to every little feeling that bubbles inside you. And that, my friend, is why you will never be truly powerful until you fix this. The ones who built empires, conquered cities, and led armies were not the men who cried over every little setback. They were the ones who mastered themselves, because a man who cannot control his own mind will never control his life. Look at the most powerful men in history, the ones who conquered entire civilizations. Do you think they let emotions guide their decisions? Do you think they cried in the corner when things got hard? Absolutely not. They operated with cold, calculated logic. They removed emotion from the equation and focused on one thing only: winning. The second you react instead of strategizing, the second you hesitate because you feel bad, the second you let anger, sadness, or fear dictate your actions, you lose. How many times have you made a bad decision because you were emotional? How many times have you said something in anger that you regretted later? You've been letting your feelings run the show like an undisciplined child throwing tantrums, and then you wonder why your life isn't where you want it to be. A man who is ruled by his emotions is a man who is ruled by the world. You cannot call yourself strong if you cannot even master yourself. Strength is the ability to stand in the middle of a storm and not flinch, is watching everything crumble around you and still making the right decisions. Discipline is knowing what needs to be done and doing it regardless of how you feel. Winners understand that emotions are just noise, useless distractions that try to pull them away from their goals. Losers, on the other hand, let those emotions dictate their lives. They wake up and decide how productive they'll be based on their mood, and then they look at their empty bank account, their unfulfilled dreams, their wasted potential, and they wonder what went wrong. You want to win? You want to dominate? You want to be the kind of man who walks into a room and commands respect without saying a word? Then control yourself. Stop whining about things you cannot change. Stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. You are either a man in control or you are a man being controlled. You don't have time to sit around and process your emotions. You have one life. Every second wasted drowning in feelings is a second stolen from your potential. And while you're sitting there overthinking, doubting yourself, letting emotions paralyze you, there is another man out there, stronger, sharper, more disciplined, who is taking the opportunities you were too weak to seize. Weakness feeds on weakness. The moment you allow emotions to take control, they start making decisions for you. And let me tell you, emotional decisions are almost always the wrong ones. If you give in to emotions, they will ruin you. Every time you let frustration, anger, or sadness take over, you are giving up control. And once you lose control, you become a man who reacts instead of a man who decides. And the world is full of men like that. Men who explode in anger when things don't go their way. Men who sit around complaining about their problems instead of fixing them. They don't realize that every second they spend in emotional turmoil is a second wasted. I see it all the time. A guy gets fired from his job, and instead of immediately figuring out his next move, he spends weeks sulking. A man gets rejected by a woman, and instead of improving himself, he drowns in self-pity because they let their emotions control them. They act like their feelings are some kind of divine force that must be obeyed. But here's the truth. Your feelings mean nothing if they don't serve you. You can feel sad. You can feel angry. You can feel frustrated, but none of that matters unless you use those emotions as fuel. The world doesn't reward men who break down. It rewards men who take control. The man who can wake up every morning, no matter how bad yesterday was, and keep moving forward, that's the man who wins. The man who refuses to let emotions turn him into a slave, that's the man who rules the world. Every time life tests you, every time a challenge comes your way, you have an opportunity to choose. You can choose to be weak, to react, to let emotions cloud your judgment, or you can choose to be strong, to take a deep breath, to focus on solutions, and to keep moving forward no matter what.